Hello and welcome to Financial Education for the Nation. My name is Warren Shute and today, a little bit of Bitcoin.
This episode has been sponsored by Idelo, the price comparison website.
Okay, so I am often asked about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. Is it a good investment? Shall I buy? It's up, the price is up, this kind of thing. So I thought I'd dedicate the show to talking about Bitcoin and covering some of the key points that I've learned over the years about it. So Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, so an electronic currency, and it is one of over 4,000 different cryptocurrencies that are available globally, according to Investopedia. So you can just see that this is a huge space, and the very fact that there are 4,000 kind of feels that there's a bit of weight behind it, and there's a bit of a future in these things. Some of the leading cryptocurrencies are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and one of the new kids on the block, one of the favorites for most people, is Cardano. Now, Bitcoin is a form of digital currency that can be spent or traded. It's stored in a digital wallet. So because it's digital, you don't have a wallet or a card or anything with it. It's stored in a digital wallet. And these digital wallets have private and public passcodes on them. And it's your private passcode that is the key to the currency. That makes it safe. If you lose that, potentially you lose the cryptocurrency. They are traded over a number of computer networks. I think they're called nodes. So it's really hard to keep track of where they are and who's got what, etc. So there's a piece of coding, for the sake of this program, called blockchain technology. And it's the blockchain technology that keeps it organized and says who has what or where is what, not necessarily who, but where is what. And so that these coins can't be spent more than once on the same transaction. It's very difficult to hack or corrupt this technology. And there's an argument to say that the blockchain technology is as valuable to the future as the actual cryptocurrency that works in the blockchain technology. Bitcoin itself was first established as a cryptocurrency back in 2009. It started mining then. I think it started trading in 2010. So it's about 10 years old as a market trading system. The source of Bitcoin, the program that puts it together has limited the production to 21 million Bitcoins. So I think at the moment, as I did the research, we're around about 18.5 million Bitcoins. And China is churning away and growing that. So there's a finite capacity. And you know, from investments or trading, supply and demand, there's a limited capacity for something and there's a lot of demand for it, then the price tends to go up. And that's what we've seen of late. Although there's been 18.5 million mined already, you've only got to read the press to realize that there are so many people out there who have said that they've had Bitcoins on their computer and their computer's been stolen or lost, or they've lost their private key. Remember I mentioned a bit earlier, you have this private key that accesses it. So there's actually not 18.5 million in circulation, but there've been 18.5 million mined. And from my understanding, when we get to 21 million, that's it. There'll be no more mined. So then it'll be a case of supply and demand and just allowing that product to appreciate. If it does, it's such a complex area that I think you really need to be a specialist in this to really understand it. And that's a word of caution as well. It's like if you get involved with things, you really got to understand it in your circle of confidence and competence. Bitcoin really isn't an investment, okay, because it doesn't produce anything. If you look at investments, so if we look at investment like a buy-to-let property, you own a buy-to-let property, it produces a rental income as a yield. That generally isn't classed as an investment. If you look at a company share, a listed share on the stock market, a company produces profits most of the time and often pays a dividend to shareholders, so it's making something. Bitcoin is a commodity. It's like oil, gold, corn. It moves on supply and demand. And just like in theory, gold is a limited resource. Okay, it's not all been mined, but they pretty much have a good idea of what the resources are. So is Bitcoin. Okay, now oil would be the same. Corn would be slightly different because it's sort of more open-ended with regards to production, but seasonal, it is limited. And lots of people have been shying Bitcoin, and I would be in that camp. And I don't invest it myself. I don't own any myself, and it's partly because I don't understand it well enough. If I'm honest, I don't really understand it. And you could look back and say, "Oh yes," but I was first introduced to this. I think it was 2009 time, and I think if you'd have was it 2009? I think it was later than that. I'm trying to think. My son's 16, 15, so about 5-6 years ago. So 2015. And I think if I'd have invested then, I looked at the share price, it was about $10,000 then. So, I would have done fairly well out of it, I'm sure, but I just don't understand it. And I think that's the secret success to investing, is having a clear outcome of what your investment philosophy is and sticking to it. And when it flies up and down so much, the volatility on it for most people is too great. But the credibility of Bitcoin has elevated in the last sort of 12 months, particularly because a couple of well-respected hedge fund managers, one guy called Paul Tudor Jones and some other companies, have said they've gone out on public records, so they've bought into it. And you've also got Tesla, Elon Musk, electronic car company Tesla, have invested $1.5 billion in Bitcoin, and he's come out on record to say that only a fool would invest in cash with the yields where they are and inflation. So you kind of take these things. He's a smart guy. You got to take these things to heart and say, do they know something I don't? But in the end of the day, have a clear investment philosophy and follow it. And really, at the end of the day, Bitcoin is not an investment because it doesn't produce anything. It will move on supply and demand. And if people move out of favor of Bitcoin, if something better or more respected comes along, then they will move on from that. So we've got Bitcoin, you've got Ethereum and Litecoin are two big names, but the new kid on the block, Cardano. If people start dumping Bitcoin for Cardano and you're in Bitcoin, you don't realize that, this price starts coming down. When do you sell? With a company, you can do a company valuation and realize the value of the company, because if it comes down too far, you think, well, look, I'll just buy all the shares and own the company. It's a logic behind it. But if people start offloading Bitcoin and start moving it across to Ethereum, Litecoin, or Cardano, for example, then do you know what to do and what's your exit strategy? So I had a question in about should I buy Bitcoin or not, and I'll cover it then. But it's just, I wanted to do this so you're aware of it. Okay, so Bitcoin is one of about 4,000 cryptocurrencies. You can buy them electronically. I think Coinbase is the most popular platform to buy cryptocurrencies. Etoro also allows you to buy cryptocurrencies. You buy them in a wallet, an electronic wallet, a digital wallet. So you make sure you hold them in there. And really, you want the digital wallet in your name, so that if the company goes insolvent, you still have control and ownership of the cryptocurrency, whatever you decide to buy. They're still mining them. They're still producing them. That's the term they give it, is mining. So there are these computers generating them. And there's a big argument to say that the energy consumption to maintain Bitcoin, the amount of computing power it takes, is not sustainable environmentally. It's not environmentally sustainable. It takes too much up. So therefore, they feel that people are going to go away from Bitcoin to this Cardano, which by all accounts is more energy efficient to maintain. Don't take my word all this for granted, for 100%. This is my understanding and what I've spoken to people and read. it's a minefield. It's a complex area, and that's one reason why I sort of stay away from it. So they've made about 1.5 million of these Bitcoin, and they're going up to 21 million. But who knows? Can the code be changed to allow it to go higher still? We don't know. Bitcoin started trading about 2010 for less than $1, and today it's hit over $50,000. So it's had a good run. And there are some components out there to say, shout it and say it's going to go to $100,000 a coin. So who knows? The liquidity kind of argues a bit there, doesn't it? It's like, how many transactions can you actually do? Is it going to be a currency? And if it is therefore a currency, how many transactions can you do at $100,000 a coin? There's not many things that you go and buy in $100,000 multiples, is there? But it's not an investment; it's a commodity, and you take your courses for courses. You've got PayPal and Square also coming out, allowing you to spend with cryptocurrencies, whether it's Bitcoin or not, I don't know, but in the near future. So whether they actually do it now, I don't think so. I've not seen it on my PayPal account, but so you can trade with them. So that'd be interesting too. So it's the future. And I think the key in life is staying abreast of those things and staying attuned to them. It doesn't mean you have to embrace all of them, but it's certainly had a wild run. And if you're watching this and if you've had an investment in cryptocurrency, please let me know. I do have one client who has a reasonable holding in cryptocurrency, and he's had it now for about 10 years, 8 years. He was he's in IT, and he would have done, or he has done extremely well out of it, and he still holds them. I'm not sure I would hold on to them. I've tried to get him to sell them, but we'll see what he says. So whether Bitcoin is the winner of the 4,000 cryptocurrencies in the decades to come, only time will tell. But there's a lot of information around it, and buyer beware. If you're going to go into it, remember it's not an investment, but if you go into it, only invest money you can afford to lose from it. Okay, so 5 things about cryptocurrencies in general, I guess, that you might be interested to know. The Bitcoin inventor or creator is actually unknown. People have come forward to say that they did it, but there's no sort of reference to evidence to say they really did it. They weren't really credible. They refer to the Bitcoin creator is Satoshi Nakamoto. I can't even pronounce it, I'm sorry. It's obviously Japanese pronunciation. Satoshi Nakamoto. And there's a proper belief that is an acronym for Samsung, Toshiba, Nakachami, and Motorola. So be interesting to see, who actually did it and why it's so secretive. When you're dealing in cryptocurrency, I think I've covered this. You deal in a cryptocurrency crypto wallet. It's a digital wallet, and that's where they're held. And it's ideal to get that in your name as opposed to in the brokerage name, just in case they go insolvent. And you have 2 keys for this. You have a public key and a private key. And it's the private key that's essential because that allows you to get access to it. And when you're doing a transaction with someone, you give them the public key and they use that so they can access the cryptocurrency their side. If you lose if you lose your private key, be careful because by all accounts, it's impossible to hack. It's impossible to get into. And this is the advantage of the cryptocurrency. But if you lose your private key, then by all accounts, you lose the cryptocurrency. So there's been stories, haven't there, of these computers being lost in landfill and stuff like that, or people lost their passkeys and stuff like that. And there are millions of dollars of cryptocurrency in there. So yeah, beware. It's like a shareholder register, and but it's private, so it's just you've got the register of your shares. It's crazy stuff. 4, China is the biggest miner of cryptocurrencies. They do about 65% of the mining or creation of these globally, with the USA and Russia in joint second place, basically with about 7% each. So that's fascinating. China are really pushing ahead with it. So do they know something everyone else doesn't? But we'll be having I'll be watching this in 10 years' time, looking at it thinking, why was it so naive about cryptocurrency? You should have just bought a whole ton of it. But which one? That's the key. Which cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrencies can't be physically banned because they're held electronically in a wallet. So no countries can actually ban it. Although some jurisdictions have put restrictions on investment in cryptocurrencies. So if you live in somewhere like Algeria, Bolivia, Morocco, Nepal, Pakistan, and Vietnam, they have restrictions on actually doing things with cryptocurrency, investing in it. So you can't actually do that legally in their countries. So I think this is a case of old world and new world. So the old world government, central banks being concerned about this, and the new world saying, actually, we don't want that control anymore. We want more freedom and ability to do things, and the two clashing, and younger minds and brains understanding it, whereas the older brains and minds understand it less. But, have your circle of competence, know what you're investing in, and know why you're investing it, and stick to that. And for most people, a global index fund, a portfolio like that, it's just going to do the trick. It really is. But two of my readers' questions this week. Before I jump ahead, main body of the news. So inflation in January rose 0.1%, so it's running around 0.7. That's the CPI index, consumer price index. And then RPI retail price index rose about 0.3, so it's running about 1.4. So they're both way below government targets. They're both down. And that's kind of obvious, I guess. The spending's down. People aren't spending on high streets. And remember, spending is what causes inflation to spike. There was a lot of concern that all of the government stimulus packages would boost inflation, and then we'd have a period of what you call stagflation, where the economy is stagnant, is not growing, but inflation is rampant. That's not happening. And I think the reason behind it is one man's spending is another man's income. And remember, if no one's earning any money, we need some money to fill that pot. If no one's sort of spending it, we need some money to be spent to create inflation. So I can see inflation ticking around. I personally don't think inflation will start spiking and going crazy, although there are some economists who do think that will be the case. Second main thing in the news this week was the Office of National Statistics, ONS, have said that the GDP contracted 9.9% in 2020. Now, that was a significant contraction, the biggest we've ever had in history, from my understanding. And it's slightly worse than the 1921 contraction, which was 9.7%, and that was based on soaring of unemployment in the Depression following the First World War. So, it's not great that the economy contracted so much. It's kind of probably almost obvious that it would have contracted, but possibly not by that much. However, we did avoid what you call a double dip recession. So what you got is GDP expanded by 1% in the final 3 months of 2020. So although it contracted, you saw it coming out at the end. So hopefully when we get out of this second or third lockdown, we'll start seeing the economy pick up a bit nice and slowly. So it's not too fast, because too fast we get a surge in inflation. Okay, so readers' questions this week, and that's kind of why I did the show. I had a couple of these questions. I had this one just this week. So it said, should I buy Bitcoin? And it was a tricky one, and I basically answered and said, hey, look, it's like this. Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies are not investments, they're commodities. So don't have it as your main investment portfolio. But if you want to buy a cryptocurrency, Bitcoin or whatever you might want to buy, then go ahead and buy it. Go ahead and buy it and enjoy it. But just invest the amount of money you really seriously are happy to lose. Okay, maybe they would go down to zero if they go out of favor or something happens with them. If Bitcoin got hacked, for example, then people might then start getting worried about it and then actually dump it. But just invest the amount of money you feel comfortable losing. Now with company shares, if you buy an index fund, you're not realistically going to lose your money. I know that people say you would, but to have globally all the companies go down to zero, you've got bigger things to worry about. But because cryptocurrency is different, because it's fairly new still, and we don't really understand it 110%, just if you're going to go into it, it's not an investment, it's your fund bucket, and just maybe invest a smaller amount of money that you're willing to lose. And go to credible sources. This is not an endorsement. I've not bought through them, but my understanding is Coinbase and is one of the biggest platforms to buy Bitcoin on. Second question I had, I'm going through a divorce. Any tips on agreeing my financial settlement? I don't know how much I might need. Yeah, we do, as my firm Lexington Wealth, we do quite a lot of work with divorce cases. And basically, we have a financial plan that we create for you as the client, and a second one for your lawyer. And it basically just details the costs of your current and future lifestyle and how much money you need to fund that. And it helps with financial divorce negotiations, and it allows your lawyer to then take it to the judge to justify any claims that you might make, rather than just saying, hey, look, this is how much he or she needs. It's very easy to document your current lifestyle, your regular lifestyle, your bills, utilities, that kind of thing. But when you start adding in ad hoc or periodic payments, they're things that tend to get overlooked, special celebrations, house moves, that kind of thing. But they're the things you can put into a financial plan. So if you're going through a divorce, or if you know someone who is, I understand divorce rates are increasing, get in touch. We've got some great work we can do on that. Okay, so moving on to the Smarter Spender section. This is sponsored by Idelo, the price comparison website. I mentioned this most weeks, but just in case you're an infrequent listener, Idelo is a price comparison website that I use and my family uses. And when I started talking about them, they come on and said, hey, would you like us to support the show? And I said, yeah, that'd be great. It really help me out with what I'm doing. But I have them on there because I use it, and I think it's a great site to use. My children use it, and I've got it on my phone and everything else. The nice thing I like about Idelo is it does a price comparison site. So if I'm looking to buy something, I'll just put in the details. It will go off into the net, search, and find the best price. But not only does it do that, it will give me a price trend, a price history trend of what the price has been like historically and how things are. And one of the things they do on the show is they say, hey, what's dipped this week? So what's likely to dip in price this week? They're looking at different things from aftershaves to hair straighteners. They're down around like 10, 11%. But baby monitors are down 14%. And inkjet printers are down 12%. So, hey, look, I'm always running out of ink. I have a 14-year-old daughter who loves printing reams of stuff off for her wall and things, and we're always going through ink. So I use Idelo to check out the best prices on things like that. They can look at their global trends, their annual trends, and say when's a good time to buy things. And they think this month is going to be a good time to buy running trainers. Now, although the average price of running trainers tends to be around about £80, they've said, it's about £74 in March. So it's not super cheap, but it's not bad. It's a discount. So I guess some items have less of a price fluctuation than others, but it's always best to get the best price when you can. And then they reckon that consumers will be buying bikes and accessories. During the first lockdown, we definitely saw a surge in purchase of bikes. I tried to go and get a bike for Bella, and we just couldn't get one for love nor money. And they can see a surge in bikes and bike parts and everything else coming into the next round of lockdowns, coming into the summer, when I would imagine most of us are going to decide to holiday in the UK during this summer, just because of the potential restrictions when we get overseas. But let me know, what are your thoughts? What are you guys up to? I think we've got some stuff booked for Cornwall and Wales, and we'll probably stay in the UK, although I'm desperate to get away. I was very excited to hear, I think my mother-in-law said the under 50s are going to get vaccinated by April. So that includes me. So that would be fantastic. That would be really, really good. Really good. Can't wait. So, hey, look, thanks for watching the show. Thanks for sending your questions in. Hopefully you enjoyed that summary about cryptocurrencies and Bitcoins. I know it was very top level, and I know it didn't go into a hell of a lot of detail, but if you get any questions on it, please send them through. I'll be very happy to hear your thoughts. Until next time, stay safe. My name is Warren Shute. This is Financial Education for the Nation. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so. There's a great number of back issues to go through, and remember, what makes us different on your financial journey is the support with access to downloads and templates on warrenshute.com, the YouTube videos and podcasts, as well as access to me, a multi-award winning certified financial planner and certified international coach. So please do engage, and let's get your finances sorted together. Thank you to Idelo for supporting this show, and for you for listening. The Money Planner is edited and produced by the amazingly talented Vince Wakeman at Avando Systems.